stewards, the teachers, all the people that make up the great American middle class. And that is going to have ramifications. As people rise up in educational status and in wealth, what are they going to have? What are they going to gain as a result of being elevated into the middle class? Money. They're going to want to spend it on stuff and things. Okay? And that is going to lead to the expansion of jobs. So the rise of a middle class society leads to the rise of an American economic engine. Okay? What else was in there that you went, sure, I know that. Yeah. Okay. You got to move to where the cotton can grow, and that's going to be the deep south and the deep southwest, what today we would call Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, okay? The Southern Plantation Society is going to move in that direction, and that plantation society is going to dominate the Southern society. It's going to dominate the economy, it's going to dominate the politics, it's going to dominate the social structure, because everything stems from the creation of cotton. From the people at the top who run the cotton plantations, to the lower class people who work the fields, to the slaves who are picking the cotton and running the cotton gins. Anything else in society you were like, check?
The impoverished immigrants.
The new immigrants coming to America, in particular the German immigrants and the Irish immigrants, and the reaction that you're going to see to their arrival here. Yeah.
The labor unions.
And the rise of labor unions. First starting off with whom? The Lowell girls. The Lowell girls are the ones that start labor unions in America, but that idea of workers banding together in order to protest to get better wages, better hours, better working conditions is going to take off in a number of other factories. That's good. Any question marks in society? Yeah. Yeah. Where is that? Oh, okay. All right. A wealthy elite of merchants, manufacturers, bankers, and entrepreneurs struggle to the top of the social order. So that's the top of the social class, all right? The people who make things, the makers. Once in charge, they tried to maintain social stability through a paternalistic program. What does it mean to be paternal? And you got tripped up on the word paternal, and that's fine. What does it mean to be paternal? Like the dad. And what does dad do? For you, what does dad do? Do you have free reign to do whatever you want? What does dad do? He tells you what to do, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to see an attempt by the ruling elites, whether that's the political elites or the economic elites, to try to tell the rest of society how to live and how to act. So there's going to be an attempt at social control. Does that make sense? Okay? Whether that's, banning alcohol or limiting immigration or making sure people have an education or whatever, but it's the upper crust of the society telling everybody else what to do and how to live. That's paternalism. Okay? And it comes from the Latin word pater, P-A-T-E-R, which means father. All right. Anything else you were question marked in that section? That's good. That's what we had a question mark on yesterday. Was there anything that you were inspired by, or any specific thing that inspired you there under society? Okay. Move on to government. What did you check off with government? You were like, yep. Good. Okay, we haven't even gotten there yet, but we do know that Andrew Jackson's the head of the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party, just by the fact that it's a different color up there, represents a change. I use the colors to demonstrate a significant change. Jackson is going to represent a change. What that change is, we haven't gotten there yet, but it represents a significant shift politically. Yeah. All right. Reforming working conditions, improving labor conditions. It is slow to get going, and really, labor unions don't take off until after the Civil War, but you get that start. Yeah.
The entrepreneurs persuading the governments to improve things like the transportation and work days and all that.
All right, so there is an influence by the wealthy elites that the government has a role to play in making sure that businesses can get their products from factory to market. And maybe the government needs to be in the business of building roads or canals or railroads or whatever. And that's going to lead to a difference of opinion. You've got Andrew Jackson's Democratic Party that says, I don't think that the government should be in that business. And then you've got the development of another party, the Whig Party, that says, yeah, we should be a political party that helps businesses out. That really is what the Whig Party is all about, helping business. It becomes the Republican Party. So the Democratic Party under Jackson becomes what they call the party of the common man, and the Whig Party becomes the party of business. And it eventually evolves into the Republican Party. And those are two core ideas that those parties still have. Was there anything in here that you question marked? I would hope there would be. There should be. Yeah. Okay, you've got a lot of people out there in the 1830s and 40s that are going to find themselves now with a newfound right, the right to vote, regardless of property qualification. Okay? So you've got all these people out there, north, south, east, west, rich, middle class, poor, immigrant, non-immigrant, okay? Protestant, Catholic, whatever. It's fragmented. You've got a fragmented society. The parties are trying to gather together as many of those constituencies as possible to lump under one political roof, whether that's the Democratic Party of Jackson or the Whig Party of Henry Clay, because Clay is the one that starts the Whig Party. So that's what they're talking about there. It's a great question. But it's how are the political parties trying to get all of the different elements of society under their roof? Does that make sense? Right, exactly. It's what they're trying to do today. Yeah, I mean, the parties today, the Republicans and the Democrats, are made up of a coalition of different groups. Yeah.
The immigrants from Ireland and Germany entering the political arena to protect their religion and cultures from restrictive legislation.
Advocated by
the Protestant nativists.
What is a nativist? Everybody should have had a question mark next to nativism. Yeah. If you think of nativism, think of this guy. They're taking our jobs. They took our jobs. America. Those are nativists. Them immigrants are coming and they're taking our jobs. Okay? That's what nativism is. Nativism refers to native-born Americans who don't like immigrants. You get with waves of immigration, you get waves of nativism. So in the antebellum, you get anti-Irish, anti-German nativism. In the 19th century, in the late 19th century, in the Gilded Age, you get anti-Italian, anti-Jewish, anti-Eastern European, anti-radical nativism. In the late 20th century, you get nativism against Latinos. You get nativism against people from Asia. And of course, don't forget, you always have that nice little core of racism against blacks here in America. So we're equal opportunity haters. So that's what nativism refers to. As Irish and Germans come to America seeking opportunity, seeking work, seeking jobs, seeking to protect their own cultural identity, they're going to encounter Americans who don't like them. Mainly American Protestants who don't like Irish Catholics because they believe that the Irish Catholics are beholden to the Pope. Okay? All right. How about culture? What did you check off for culture? Yeah, Amber. Okay, all right, and we know that abolition takes off at this time, so that's good. Any other things that you checked off? Yeah, Hannah. And we know that women's rights activism takes off as a result of the Great Awakening, and the Second Great Awakening. You get women advocating for their rights, people advocating for educational rights, abolition, all of those things to make society a better place. Absolutely. Anything else that you checked off? Yeah.
The series of reform movements as being the Second Great Awakening.
Absolutely, and we are going to delve into the weeds on the reform movements that you encountered during the antebellum period. I mean, there's an entire section up there, antebellum reforms. I mean, there's an entire chapter just on reforms. How are people trying to fix American society to make it better? Anything else that you checked off there? Anything that you had a question mark on for culture? Hannah. The slave power conspiracy. There were Northerners, and mainly Northern reformers who wanted to see an end to slavery, who believed that the Southern states were in cahoots to try to expand slavery to as many places as humanly possible. And in particular, people were concerned about the West. This is the time when the United States is starting to come together geographically. The Louisiana Purchase, Oregon Territory, the stuff that we get from the Mexican War in 1848, what becomes California, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, all of that stuff. And there's a belief among Northerners that Southerners are trying to expand their power and influence to those states to be able to spread slavery. Likewise, slave owners believe that there's a Northern conspiracy to try to restrict the expansion of slavery. The point is that it all has to do with the West and what the West is going to be like. Is it going to look like the North, or is it going to look like the South? And that's the big question. I mean, that's ultimately what leads to the Civil War, is the difference of opinion as to what the West is going to be. Because invariably, whenever we acquire a new piece of territory, the question comes up, can I take the slaves there? Hey, we just got all this territory from Mexico. Can I take the slaves there? Hey, we want to make California a state. Take the slaves there. Hey, we got Oregon from Britain. Can I take the slaves there? And that ongoing debate is what is going to lead to the Civil War. Eventually, the South is going to say, wait a minute. You're restricting my freedom. You're restricting my ability to take my property where I want. And that's what it was really all about, was property. Southerners saw slaves not as people, but as property. And when the government says you can take your slaves here, but not there, that's the government restricting your property rights. All right. Did it inspire you to think of anything here? Yeah.
Camp meetings, the dedicated men and women preaching at gospel temperance.
Sure, absolutely. Camp meetings, yeah. Anything else? Okay, all right. Maybe it doesn't inspire you to think of anything else. Who knows? All right, and then the sectionalism part. did you check off that you knew? Yeah. Absolutely. We've known that since the beginning. Okay? The South is a rural agricultural area dependent on slave labor. Therefore, the North is a what? If the South is a rural agricultural society based on slavery, the North then would be an industrial society based on free labor. Okay? Free labor. And therein is also going to be an argument. Out west, is that going to be available for free labor? Will you be able to earn a wage? Or will I be able to bring my slaves there and they'll be able to undermine your ability to make money? That's called free labor ideology. And it's kind of the core of what becomes the Republican Party. Abraham Lincoln was a free soil. He believed the West should be available for free labor, to compete, to earn a wage. Did you check off anything else? Yeah. That's it. And when Abraham Lincoln is elected in 1860, and he's already said the West is not going to be allowed to have slavery, that's when the Southerners say, no mas. We can't live under that kind of government. And that's when they secede. The election of Lincoln is what causes the secession of the South, because they refuse to live under a president who says that you cannot take your slaves out west. Yeah.
The new technologies and global distribution cause both sides of
okay, and a lot of you may be Civil War buffs and know about all of the militarism during the Civil War. Okay, do you have any question marks from sectionalism? Yeah, Jacob. Acrimonious, bad feelings. An acrid smell is a bad smell, a harsh smell. So acrimonious is harsh feelings. Harmonious, everybody gets along. Acrimonious, people don't get along. Yes?
The northern leaders gradually abandoning the effort to cure African American full benefits of freedom.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation, it's civil rights for everybody. And the northern politicians, they go through the South and they're like, all right, we're freeing slaves, we're giving them citizenship, we're giving them the right to vote. But eventually they just kind of get tired of trying to enforce it and say, you know what, South, you do what you want. By 1877, northern politicians who had been all gung-ho for reform for African Americans basically give up. And that's why you have segregation from 1877 to the 1960s. Because northern reformers who had been all gung-ho just decided, screw it, we got other things. All right, we need to move on. But did everybody get a nice kind of snapshot of what is to come? All right, great. So here's what we're going to do. The question is, was the era of good feelings truly an era of good feelings? Which means first we need to define when this era is. So we're going to put it 1815 to 1825. And second, what constitutes good feelings? In your mind, what would be good feelings? You define it. Yeah. What do you mean economically situated? Comfy with your mind. How about prosperity? How about opportunity? All right? Prosperity and opportunity. Good feelings. What else would be good feelings? Peace and everybody getting along. Unity is good feelings. Absolutely. What else? Absolutely. Patriotism, national pride, good feelings. There's no real political divisions. Absolutely, good feel. Everybody's on the same page. Anything else? Yeah, Jacob. We are secure as a nation. Nobody's messing with us. Good feelings. That's great. So as long as you understand what good feelings are, economic prosperity and opportunity, political unity and patriotism, national pride, national security, everybody kind of on the same page, that's good feelings. You're going to go to one of these panels, and you're going to tell me whether you see good feelings or not. Now, this is what you're going to do. You're going to use the plus sign to state what you see. If it represents good feelings, put a plus sign. So, for instance, up here on this panel, I see patriotism and pride. That's a plus. I see national unity. That's a plus. I see exertive foreign policy through the Monroe Doctrine or the Rush-Bagot Treaty or the Adams-Otis Treaty or the Treaty of 1818. I see national security in that. That's a plus. I see American dominance of the hemisphere. That's a plus. So I'm seeing generally good feelings right here. I'm seeing unity. I'm seeing national security. I'm seeing exertive foreign policy. Now, if I've got a question, I'm going to take a color and I'm going to put a question mark and I'm going to say, Monroe Doctrine? I don't remember exactly what that is. Rush-Bagot Treaty? I don't remember exactly what that is. I think it has something to do with the demilitarization of the Great Lakes. Treaty of 1818? Was it the 49th parallel, the joint occupation of Oregon? Perhaps? I don't know. So, in black, pluses, minuses, in color, questions. Cool? All right, so here we are. Pick stick. Pick stick. I'll collect the sticks at the end.